guys, with an MSRP of 50,995 Canadian, you might think the Sorento X-Line Limited is the highest, most luxurious trim level in its lineup. And the answer is it's not. So although this vehicle is packed with just about everything you could think of and more, there's actually one trim level up above. But in my opinion, it's actually a little bit less luxurious than this one. So why even get the top model? I don't know. Today's video is all about the X-Line Limited. We're going to give you a full in-depth walkthrough of everything you get in this trim level. And then I'll also mention what the X Pro, one trim level up above, adds on. Now I want you guys on our live chat to let us know if you think it's worth it or if you're happy with this one. I also have a different camera person here today because Charlotte, my usual go-to, is away. So Landon, I don't know if you want to say hi, but you can.
Hello.
So Landon's going to man the camera today, and I think we're going to get right into it. Of course, with every one of our weekday videos at 2 p.m., this is a live stream. So we're doing this in real time, no script, no teleprompter, just us in the car and some facts. Let's go. All right, Landon.
All right, get the camera.
So just flip it. Perfect. All right, starting off with the exterior, just like we always do, this vehicle is showcased in Glacial White Pearl, one of our most popular paint colors. It has a pearlescent finish to it, so especially in sunlight, not exactly the fluorescent lighting we have here, you'll see some beautiful shine and a lot of depth to the paint. Now, new for 2025, we have changed the badging on our vehicle, so you may already tell, everything is kind of blacked out. So Landon, I'll have you come a little bit closer. You'll notice the Kia emblem on the hood is finished in a beautiful, low-profile, completely solid black. I think it looks fantastic, and it also contrasts really nicely, or I guess blends in really nicely with what we see on the grille itself. Now, when you opt for any of the Sorento trim levels that say X in it, so it could be X-Line or X Pro, you're going to get a lot of dark touches. The grille itself is finished with some nice gloss black, and you also have some vertical accents that are completely matte. Surrounding the grille lies a nice dark satin housing, and you'll see that satin repeat itself throughout the vehicle, especially on the belt lines, which we'll get to on the side. This front bumper segment here is also finished in gloss black, so tying in perfectly with the grille. And you do have integrated front parking sensors. So as you approach this vehicle to something like, let's say, a wall or another car ahead of you, you'll get audible beeps inside the cabin to let you know you're getting too close. But something else that the X-Line Limited does add on top of that is the inclusion of a forward camera. So this camera will be triggered as soon as the sensors are triggered, giving you not only audible feedback, but visual. You can see exactly what's happening around your vehicle as you're maneuvering it in tight situations. Now that starts on this trim level and works its way up. Landon, is everything okay? All right. You guys, I'm gonna turn on our headlamp so you can see the full image of the front end. I'll quickly showcase the key fob as well too. Now this is our digital key, or I guess smart key. It has our lock, our unlock, our hold for our liftgate, panic button, and then on the flip side, you also have integrated remote start. It's a very low profile key. Every time I film this, you guys say it's huge. I promise it's not. It fits in girl pocket pants, so that means it's a good size. Let's go. All right, so I'll get the lights on. A couple things that are special about the lights on this trim level. This is going to be your introductory trim to having LED fog lamps. So up at the front, sorry, Landon. I think this is Landon's first time filming live with me, so I might have to direct him a couple times. You'll notice, number one, our main headlamp unit is full LED, so is the daytime running light. That's going to be this amber light expanding all the way throughout the housing. But additionally, we get these fog lights down at the bottom too. Fog lights, I think, number one, of course, they help with your vehicle in visibility conditions, but they also look really good. And I think the way they're integrated into the lower grille, chef's kiss. Couple of the things I'll point out, you get more of that beautiful dark satin housing surrounding all the way towards the skid plate of your vehicle. So the skid plate's just going to be on the very bottom, Landon. Bottom center.
I don't know Kias.
That's okay. So you'll see it expand all the way across, right over there. You'll also notice our radar sensor. So the radar sensor is smack dab in the middle at the front end of this vehicle. It looks like a rectangle, but it does so much more than just sit there. Number one, it's going to give you not only regular forward collision avoidance, but forward collision avoidance level 2. That means this vehicle can see and maneuver around a bunch of different potential collision situations, such as, of course, a forward oncoming, lane change oncoming, pedestrian, cyclist, everything, you name it. The vehicle will give you an alert inside the cabin if it senses the risk of a collision with something, and then provide braking to avoid said collision. There's also a couple more things. This vehicle also adds on highway drive assist level 2. And I know these are a lot of big words, and if you're not someone who's familiar with Kia and Hyundai product, it may mean nothing to you, so let me quickly explain it. Forward collision avoidance highway drive assist is in itself kind of an advancement of an adaptive cruise control. Not only will it keep you from a safe distance from the vehicle ahead of you, but it also provides steering feedback and navigation guidance. So things like knowing when the speed limit changes, that kind of thing, and all incorporate it into one function so you have a semi-autonomous drive mode. It's pretty nice. Check out our video on it if you want to see it in actual action though, because we can't drive this vehicle here today. All right, let's pop the hood and talk powertrain. Sorry, Landon. I'm just gonna pop the hood. You can stay in front of the car. There we are. Now this vehicle, the Sorento in itself, comes with two different gasoline powertrain options. If you are opting for any of the X-Line or X-Line Limited trim levels, you will only have the option of a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. And that's not a bad thing. This powerhouse rocks. So powertrain rocks, I should say. It is a powerhouse. So this 2.5 turbo is gonna give you 281 horsepower with 311 pound-feet of torque, and it's all gonna be tied to an 8-speed wet-type dual-clutch transmission. Now the transmission is also incorporated with paddle shifters, so you as a driver can manually manipulate those gears. It's quick shifting, super responsive, and the best part, it's also efficient. So with a vehicle having horsepower and torque numbers like that, you may not expect it to do so good on the city or highway, but it has a rated efficiency of 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers, which I think is pretty awesome. The vehicle is also all-wheel drive. Here in Canada, the Sorento is standard with it, so it's not optional. If you're getting a Sorento, you're also getting all-wheel drive. To that, I'll move you guys over to the wheels. Now these wheels are a 20-inch alloy, completely blacked out. You'll notice, just like what we saw on the front end of the car, you get matte black and you get gloss black, and you even get a little bit of satin, or I guess dark chrome. I think it looks fantastic, and this is one of the reasons, because we're gonna get into more, where I think this trim level is more luxurious than the X Pro above it. If you are shopping for the X Pro or comparing it, it's $2,500 more, and you actually get a smaller alloy with a chunky tire. So to put it in contrast, I wish I had one here to show you guys. It would be a 17-inch alloy, so think a little smaller like that, and you'd have a big, beefy AT tire, all-terrain tire. Now, if you don't really care much about the look of your wheels, you may not even care at all. That's fine. But it might be a little bit noisier just having a beefier tire. Anyway, without a doubt, this looks good. It's nice and sleek. Surrounding your wheels, you do have a little bit of black plastic molding with a reflector, and also you'll notice we have a little side sensor. Now that side sensor does an extra thing that the trim levels below don't do, and that's the inclusion of doing automated lane changes on the highway. So that highway drive assist that I spoke to you guys about earlier, this is an advancement that lets you automatically you will have to flip your blinker by yourself. Then the vehicle will change lanes for you as long as you keep your hands on the steering wheel. It'll also maintain your speed limit and of course a safe distance from the car ahead of you. So it's certainly an advancement from the trim levels below. On the topic of all-wheel drive again, sorry, I'm going back and forth a little bit. This vehicle does have a front-wheel drive bias. So that means if it's just a regular sunny day and you're driving on the highway or regular asphalt, the vehicle will primarily be in front-wheel drive and incorporate power to the rear in situations like loss of traction or if you're launching it from a standstill. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the side profile of the vehicle. For your mirrors, they are completely blacked out. So you'll see on the top, usually it's only black mirror caps here, but it's the whole body. You have an LED turn signal indicator with a camera in your blind spot. Now that camera is going to show you live footage of whatever's happening in your blind spot every time you use your indicator. So whether that be to parallel park or to make a full-blown lane change, the vehicle will show you exactly what's happening. Super handy. On top of that, we also have blind spot detection. So Landon, I might have you come over here. And that little icon in the mirror of the mirror, do you mind getting closer to it? So you'll see that icon. It looks like a caution symbol illuminate if there is a vehicle in your blind spot. It's very passive in the sense that it's just a little gentle visual reminder. However, if you go to change lanes while there is a car there, not only will you see it in that camera and you'll see it on the mirror itself, you'll also have some audible feedback to kind of beep at you, let you know don't change lanes yet. And if you still try to change lanes, guys, there's already 2 warnings. The vehicle will give you gentle guidance back into your originating lane. All right, more. There is more, and it's still on the door. We do have our proximity entry, so as long as the key's on you, you can walk up to the car, or you can use your phone to incorporate the digital key to touch, allowing you to unlock, start, and drive your vehicle from your phone. The top of this vehicle will have raised ladder style roof rails. And then surrounding your windows, you'll notice all of the pillars on this vehicle are a nice gloss black. So just like what we see up at the front, everything's black, everything's shiny, everything matches, and everything looks good. And the belt line as well too. All right, let's take a look at the back now. The transmission, oh my goodness. The rear suspension of this vehicle is a multi-link rear suspension. So we all know those handle very, very nicely. This vehicle is just a ton of fun to drive. A lot of people don't necessarily think about that when they're shopping for an SUV. Maybe they're thinking more for a family style vehicle. This gives you all the seats you need for your family, all the convenience you want, a bunch of lux, and it's fun to drive. It really checks off all the boxes, in my opinion. Now, let me get this out of the way while I show you guys the rear. So this is a 3-row. It's only available as a 3-row here in Canada, and all of the turbocharged powertrains come with 6 seats. So that means 2 seats in the back, 2 seats in the middle, because we get captain's chairs, and then of course 2 seats up at the front. Now that I have the right seat knocked down, you can see what our space really looks like if you don't have the 3rd row in use. It's completely flat. It's very, very easy to maneuver if you do need to move your seats around and use some but not the other. So to knock them down, you're just gonna pull the lever. It'll knock the seat down, and then it goes completely flat. Same is true for your 2nd row of seats. You don't have to go around to knock them down. Landon, I don't know if you can find it, but on the right-hand side, yep, you'll see you have a 2nd row button with left and right seats separated, and you can knock them down individually. Now to bring them back up, you will have to actually go to the side and bring them up. Don't read the live chat, I know it's distracting.
What's the towing capacity? That was a question.
3,500 pounds. Thank you for letting me know the question. So yes, this vehicle is rated to tow 3,500 pounds when properly equipped. That's actually on the higher end, but not the max towing capacity of the Kia Sorento. So if you are opting for the trim level above, that actually jumps up the tow capacity to 4,500 pounds. Maybe that's a bonus for you guys, I don't know. All right, while we're still on the topic of the back seats here, you can see everything's knocked down, or I guess the rear is knocked down. Completely flat, tons of cargo area. Now, if you are carrying that 5th passenger, you will have to choose between either the left or the right seat, bring it up. And then, of course, your space back here is minimized to this area here. So I'll just bring it up once more.
Is the engine turbocharged?
Yes, it is. So for visual measure, that's how much space you have with the rear seats in use. Underneath this little floorboard here, you will notice we do have our scissor jack for our spare tire. The spare tire is actually located underneath the vehicle, like most SUVs do. So in a way, it's space saving. You don't have to move your stuff around to get your spare, but you do have to maneuver underneath the vehicle. Sorento badging is done up in black, just like what we see on the Kia emblem at the front. And of course, because we love matching elements, our Kia emblem here is also all done in black. You do get a 4X, or sorry, X-line designation on the right-hand side. So that is, of course, exclusive to our X-Line, X-Line Limited, and X-Pro models. And then for your back bumper, you do get that nice dark chrome again with the integrated rear parking sensors. And this vehicle does also give you a couple reverse safety functions. So if you are reversing this vehicle out of a busy parking spot, there's 2 huge SUVs beside you. You may not exactly be able to see what's happening. So the vehicle will give you some visual and audible alerts if there is some kind of cross traffic coming up behind you. So that could either be pedestrians or other cars, and apply brake pressure if it senses the risk of a collision backing out. So think driveways or parking lots, the mall, that kind of thing. The vehicle is always looking around for those kinds of instances. Then a couple more styling elements I'll point out here. We get beautiful LED tail lamps, a high mounted stop lamp, so integrated into the spoiler. And also integrated into the spoiler, you have your rear wiper. So it's hidden underneath, which makes it very nice come winter time because you're not picking snow or ice off the rear wiper. For fuel, it's a 67-liter tank, which is, I mean, it's on the larger end, so you get good range. You're not stopping at the gas station too much. It's also just regular unleaded fuel, not too expensive to fill up, and of course, 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers is your combined efficiency. All right, shall we take a look inside? Landon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, okay. I'm gonna open the door real quickly just so Landon can give a pan of the cabin. You'll notice we have a beautifully appointed cabin. I love the seating on this vehicle, so it has our beautiful quilted seats. They're also heated and ventilated, which starts off in this trim level, hence the luxe that I've included into the title of this video. Now, a couple things that start on this trim level. Before we get into the seats themselves, we'll talk about the door. The door, you'll notice we have memory seats, so 2 saved preset buttons, but it actually gives you 4 different memory seats to save. Set function, regular door handles with a nice wood grain trim surrounding everything. Now for the windows themselves, each and every single one of them are going to be express up and down windows. So if you didn't know what that is, I know we use that term a lot, but not everyone really is familiar with it. Essentially, you just give it one click, either down or up, and it just does the rest of it for you. So if you ever want to stop it halfway, you'll just have to hit it again. Such a nice function to have. A lot of vehicles only really have it for the driver and the passenger, sometimes only the driver. Anyway, rant over, let's keep talking. You got your child lock over here as well, both for the windows and for the doors. And another thing that starts on this trim level is the Bose premium sound system. So if you do need a premium sound, this is the trim level to get and save $2,500 by not getting the X Pro above. All right, let me get the key out of the way and then we'll talk seats. Now this seat has the integration of lumbar support. So in the trim levels below, we already had a power driver seat, but we didn't have all of this customization. So over here, you can see we have 4 different ways to configure the lumbar support. You got your backrest adjustment, and then of course the seat height and the angle of the seat. Now that all of that is set to my configuration, I can of course save it to my driver profile and save it to my memory seats. Not only that though, these mirrors are also power adjustable of course, but power folding too. So not only will your seat save, but your mirror settings will save. So if you are switching drivers often, you're not gonna have to fight over that kind of stuff. On the left-hand side, we have our brightness adjustment, our button for a power lift gate, and then our traction control. The steering wheel is completely leather wrapped and heated, so if you are someone who likes to drive like this versus someone like this, like this, like this, doesn't matter how you like to drive, your hands will be nice and warm and you can always turn this off. It also has 2 different levels of heat too, so burning hot, nicely hot, or off, you decide. All right, Landon, do you want to join me on the passenger side? When you come around, do you mind saying what your seat does?
All right.
I don't know if you heard me.
So my seat does the same thing, I guess, except for the, oh, it does have the lumbar support.
Yeah, so you have 2-way lumbar support, I have 4. But then again, it's also very rare that a passenger seat has so much closeness and similarity to the driver's seat. We're only missing 2 ways of lumbar support. Other than that, they're the same. All right, hop in, Landon. There's a lot to talk about here, a lot to unpack. Let's start off with tackling the screens. So first up, we have this 12.3-inch display. It is massive. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab this from you, Landon. So a beautiful digitized speedometer, tachometer, it's our instrument cluster. On the left, you can see the speedometer, and on the right, you can see that the trunk is open. But let's close that to get our tach. Right in the very center, you can change your view of relevant information. So whatever you like to look at while you're driving can be changed by pressing this button here. Right now, it's on our lane assist. Press it again, and it'll give me my all-wheel drive power distribution, as well as our trip, so you can change since refueling, or record whatever kind of trips you'd like. Tire pressure is also a visible gauge, and then you have your navigation. Now, this is super easy. It's super very simple to change, especially while driving, simply because it's on the steering wheel. You don't have to dig through any menus here to change what you see while you're driving. Couple other things. You'll notice we have our paddle shifters right over here. So whether you'd like to upshift or downshift, do it on the fly. These guys here. The left-hand side has your light stock, including your fog lamps. There we go. And then the right stock has your wiper controls, so both front and rear, and then of course your misters. The left side, you'll find things like your volume controls as well as your voice commands, just general media things. This star button over here allows you to preset what you'd like it to do, and this will also change depending on the driver profile that you're on. So let's say it's you and your wife, or you and somebody else. One of you guys wants to make this the home button. That means every single time I press this, it's going to jump this screen to home. Pretty simple. On the right-hand side, you have some driver assistance. So this button at the top is going to turn on or off your cruise control. And then of course, when you're on the highway, it'll turn on or off highway drive assist. You'll set your speed with the plus and the minus, and then set your following distance here. On top of that, you have our lane following assist button here. This will give you a slight change on the icons up at the front, so you'll notice the inclusion of that steering wheel, or the inclusion. And then of course, that will give you some gentle steering guidance as the vehicle reads the lanes up ahead of you. So whether it's just a straightaway or it has a slight bend in the road, you can expect some feedback from your steering wheel, and not even just beeps, actual feedback. In terms of this display, so this is our 12.3-inch touchscreen display. It houses things like your media and your navigation, which are both standard, of course. You also get SiriusXM built into the vehicle. If you're someone who prefers to not utilize your phone's navigation or maps, you do have built-in, of course, so this doesn't use any sort of data from your phone. If you do have a dead phone, that's okay. You can still use this all the time, which is handy. Or you do have the option for wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which allows you to use your phone's media, maps, everything, you name it. It'll all be synced up to this giant screen, and it is wireless now. The past model Kia Sorento actually didn't have this. It was only in the 2024s and newer. So if you're wondering about that, don't worry, it's confirmed it does have wireless. A couple of the things you can do on this massive touchscreen is configure it the way you would your smartphone. So it's very easy to maneuver the icons around and just make this really catered to you. So if you never use the valet mode, throw it into the other screen. You don't need to see it. It doesn't need to be your center of attention. However, things like setup and just general menus that you utilize more often, you can make it in a more reachable spot. There we go. Hello? There we go. All right, here we have our driver assistance where we can change things. If you don't want your vehicle to be capable of its own lane changes, unclick this and it won't do that. Same thing with the automated speed changes. So if you go frequently on a highway that jumps from 100 to 90 and you don't want the car to do that jump for you, turn that off. I won't tell anyone. Underneath that, we have our vents. So you'll notice two very rectangular vents here, our hazard button in the very center, and then a flippable climate and infotainment system. So this right now, it is a screen, however, it's very much still like having buttons in your car. Every time you go to press something, it does give you some haptic feedback, so you do know what you did. It's not like you're mindlessly touching something. There's also an integrated search function, so if this is your first new vehicle in a long time, it can be really intimidating, all this new information. Having a function like this allows you to search for things like, let's say, date. You can find a date. Wow. Date and time. Whatever it is you're looking for in your settings, you can just kind of quickly search it, and that saves you, I guess, the Google search, because it's all done through your car. A couple other things, we do have real dials for your volume control as well as your tune knob. So this feels very familiar, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Am I right, ladies? There we go. You also have your climate control all housed here as well too. So dual zone climate control, I can set my temperature, your passenger can set a temperature, or you can sync it all up. Everything's the same. Your fan direction is also controlled through here. So just by pressing that button a couple times, and then your front and rear defrost with your automated climate control function. Below that, we do have multiple USB-Cs. The one on the left can house both regular charging or connectivity and charging. The one on the right is simply for charging. This little flat section here is a wireless phone charger. Very hard to tell right now because our lights did go out. Who paid the bill or who didn't pay the bill, I don't know. But we also have heated seats and ventilated seats, 3 different levels for both, which is always nice to have, especially in Canada where we get violently hot weather and violently cold weather. The gear shift has remained standard for the Kia Sorento, so it's a regular lever style gear shift. Landon's a pilot. Does this remind you of being in a plane?
No.
No? It reminds me of
A
being
little bit.
It reminds me of being in a plane. Mind you, I've never driven one. Anyway, back to the car. Beneath our gear shift, you do have a dial over here that can change your drive mode select, but also your terrain modes. What do you mean by that? Well, there's normal mode, normal mode, eco mode, sport mode, and then smart mode. Each of these will change the way the vehicle is, number one, changing its gears. So eco mode is always going to try to change gears a little bit quicker, just trying to minimize or maximize its efficiency, I should say. Meanwhile, sport mode will do the opposite. It'll allow you to run through those RPMs a little bit higher, definitely stretch out the power of your vehicle, and in turn, you do consume a bit more fuel. Smart mode adapts to whatever the vehicle is doing or whatever you're doing as a driver. So if you're absolutely flooring it to get onto the highway, but then you ease off and sort of match traffic a bit more, it'll cycle you from sport mode to normal mode and back again based off whatever you're doing. Terrain modes, however, change a little bit more. So it will change the shift points, but it's also going to change the torque distribution of your all-wheel drive system, your stability control as well too, to make sure you can maneuver whatever kind of terrain you're handling. So between snow mode, mud mode, and sand mode, the vehicle will make its changes throughout. A couple more buttons underneath and then we're almost done. We can actually check out the space of this vehicle. We've got heated seats, our auto hold brake function, downhill braking assist, an electronic parking brake, a park view camera, right over there.
Ah yes, the heated seats.
Heated steering wheel. You guys know what I'm talking about. So right now you can see our front camera. So because that was the last thing we did with this vehicle, we had it in drive, but you also get a top-down view. If I were to throw this vehicle in reverse, however, it'll show me my backup camera. So whatever camera is most relevant will be the one kind of highlighted in the center display. You also have idle, stop, and go on this vehicle, LED interior lights, a beautiful, massive panoramic sunroof with, of course, a powered cover, and a nice beige headliner. The headliner is also a difference from this vehicle in the trim level above. If you are opting for the X Pro, you get a suede headliner, which may appear more fancy to you, I don't know, but it'll also be completely blacked out. So those are some of the major changes. I don't know if you guys caught this earlier, but the seats themselves are debossed with X-Line badging. The X Pro will of course say X Pro. Now, I think we've covered up enough on the front. Let's take a look at the second row and even hop in the third row to check out space. You ready, Landon?
Okay.
And hopefully I could trigger the lights to come back on.
Okay, that's what that was. I thought
Sorry,
the power
you guys
went
had
out.
to see that. No, they're motion sensor lights, but we have a skid steer right now blocking the motion sensor. All right, so I'm just gonna hop in the captain's chairs and I'll go to the one on the far left. So great thing about captain's chairs, if you have kids that fight with each other, they're a little bit more separated. They also each individually have an armrest that is adjustable. So if you like to have your seat reclined or more straight, you'll have the armrest at the perfect height. These seats are also going to be heated with 2 different levels. The control for that is just going to be on the door handle itself. So your rear passengers can cycle between that. And then they're very easy to maneuver. So if you are hopping into the third row, you can very easily press this button on the shoulder area, which will allow the vehicle seat to move forward and slide. From there, you do have quite a bit of space to step into the back of the vehicle and then hop, of course, into one of the third row seats. A couple more things I'll point out while I'm back here before I myself get into the third row is the fact that we have air vents in this center console here, as well as a USB-C port and a 115-volt inverter, so a household outlet. The backs of the seats are very premium in the sense that they have a regular leather pocket, but also a mesh net pocket, so lots of storage. USB-Cs built into the backs of both the driver and passenger seat. And up at the top, we still have that panoramic sunroof, which I failed to open all the way, but believe me, all of this is glass, and you have a beautiful view of everything outside when it's open. All right, so let's check out the third row. Now, this happened to Charlotte a while ago. The Kia Sorento plus heels. There is a rail system on this car giving you exceptional maneuverability of the second row, but horrible maneuverability for you if you're wearing heels. I hope I don't fall. We did it. Now, I will also start off by saying this seat is at its max recline and it's fully reversed on its rail. So this is kind of the worst case scenario for legroom for the third row. However, my knees are still not touching the seat ahead of me, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then also in terms of headroom, I have a good amount of space. So I have about 1 hand of space here. That's how they measure horse height. Hands. Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that and stop talking for a second. Right over here, you can see our USB-Cs, as well as cup holders and a little bit of storage space on the side. And then just like how I demonstrated earlier, each of the captain's chairs will have a button at the top, allowing the seat to fold forward and slide forward. You can see how much room I have here now. Good space.
For free.
For free. All right, you guys. Now, I think that sums up our walkthrough of the vehicle. I'm just gonna come out this way. I mentioned this, but I didn't show it. Because the seat is on a rail, if you do have someone a bit taller sitting in the third row, you can give them more space if you want. This is the worst case scenario, so this is me as close as I can to the seat ahead of me, and it shows. But you can also move it back a little bit and kind of lock it into place wherever feels best. So you can kind of work out a happy in between the second row seats and the third row seats. A couple more things about the doors here. You do have built-in cup holders on the sides here, because remember, there's nothing in the very center of these seats. Your window controls, the heated seats like Landon showcased, and then integrated sunshades. So they just latch onto place and they look so much better and operate so much better than the kind you can buy at Canadian Tire or Amazon. Seriously, the Winnie the Pooh ones, they're not cute. These ones are so cute. All right, and then on our door sills, you'll also see Sorento, so very premium. A lot of premium touches on this vehicle, and then of course in terms of tech and safety that you get on the X-Line Limited specifically, it's just such a nice bonus. I did say I would talk about the difference between this and the trim level above, so let me break down everything that the X Pro trim, the one-up trim, adds on. So for $2,500, you'll get different wheels. They are smaller alloys with chunkier tires, so 17-inch alloys with all-terrain tires. You're also going to get that suede headliner that's finished in all black, as well as a not 360, but digital rear view mirror. So course, they can't demonstrate on this car because we don't get it, but you may be able to check it out on one of our videos. Essentially, every time you check your mirror, your rear view, it's digitized. So you can see the people behind you if they're picking their nose or singing a song and they're literally following in the car behind you. You can watch all of that, which is a little bit daunting. You can also flip it back to just be a regular mirror. A couple other things, you do get that increased towing capacity and you do get a household inverter in the cargo area of the vehicle, so an extra 115 volt charger in the back. So it's really up to you guys whether you think it's worth it. I would say if you are someone who's constantly towing with your vehicle or you just really love the look of the all-terrain tires, might be an option. If not, this really gets most people what they want out of the Sorento while still giving it that luxe look, because the trim above has that off-road look, not the luxe look. All right, you guys, let's take a look at questions and see what you guys have to say about the Sorento. I'll take that from you. And let us know if you guys want Lynn back again, because I don't have Charlotte at all this week.
Oh, gosh.
Do you want to be in the Q&A?
All right.
Okay. We can test Landon on his Kia skills, his Kia knowledge. He does work for a Hyundai store. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I've heard rumors that the Sonata could leave the Canadian market, like the unfortunately departed Kia K5. Is this legitimate? I'll never say never, you guys, because I didn't think they were going to get rid of the K5, and they totally did. So the sad reality is, unfortunately, in Canada, sedans aren't very popular. Most people would prefer an SUV, and to be fair, Kia and Hyundai have some really incredible, affordable SUVs that kind of, when shopping, cross-shopping, a lot of people just opt for, let's say, the Kona instead of the Sonata, or even the Tucson. So it's sad, but it's true, unfortunately. We need more car lovers here. Landon did better than Tim, so you're good. Oh, they want to know, what do you do, Landon?
I take photos for our dealership. Nothing crazy. I don't know.
Landon, show the fog lights. What is a fog light?
Yeah.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Uh-oh.
Please check if the headrest moves up or if it's locked in place.
Does it?
Oh, do you want to demonstrate it?
I can do it. The back or the front or both?
But they didn't specify.
It
So the headrests are typically always adjustable.
It doesn't move.
Sorry, I can't see, you're in the way.
Oh. It doesn't move, though.
It will move up and down, but it won't move forward,
Beep,
if
beep.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
They said that's Tom Holland.
That is not the first time I've had that happen.
I will say, you guys have said Charlotte looks like Millie Bobby Brown. Landon apparently looks like Tom Holland. I still don't know what celebrity I look like, or what celebrity looks like me.
Big chunkus.
Thank you. Okay. Does it come with a beige or tan interior? So there is a beautiful olive interior option. I believe it's called olive brown.
Well, that would look nice, actually.
Yeah, it's a very, very pretty interior. We have yet to film one, though. That's one thing we've actually never had here.
Oh.
Yeah, so awesome.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna end off today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, leave a like if you learned something. Leave a like if you think the X Line Limited is better value than the X Pro. I mean, it is more affordable. All right, you guys. That's all. This was